Hey guys, so what are these tiny habits that can help you get a girlfriend? Well, they're basically life hacks, but we're going to gear them towards dating, but they can help you in other areas of your life as well. And I'm not going to get into the whole how habits are formed. If you want that information, you can actually go to my blog because I'll put that over there. But essentially, habits are unconscious, automatic behaviors. Some of them serve you and some of them don't. So, for example, you might be in the habit of looking away when a girl makes eye contact with you. Or maybe you're in the habit of texting far too frequently when a girl finally does give you her number. Or maybe once you're actually dating a girl, you are too attentive and it makes her kind of want to pull away. Or maybe you're too aloof and that makes her want to pull away. So here are some habits that are going to help you not only find a great girlfriend, but will also help you keep her once you get her. If you're new to my channel, my name is Anna Jorgensen. Welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. Tip number 1, small steps. So it took you a lot of small steps to create the habit of being you. And if you want to create a new version of you with some new habits, it's going to take some small steps to get there. Now, you might be able to go ahead and jump in the deep end of the pool if you've got a really great support team, but most of us don't have that. So it's easier to make small steps because they're manageable. Plus, because you can actually do the small step, because it's manageable, you release dopamine, which is the motivating neurotransmitter that helps you keep making more of those small steps toward the goal. So, tiny habit example for this one is if you are that guy who avoids holding eye contact or making eye contact with attractive women, then you want to go out and start making eye contact with people, not necessarily attractive women. You want to get really comfortable with just making eye contact with people that you have nothing invested in. So it might be old ladies or cougars, or it could be strangers. You know, if someone looks at you, just maintain, who cares if you feel weird or if they think you're weird? You're just practicing getting used to making eye contact. If you're already good at that, maybe you want to start actually saying hello to people. And then once you're really comfortable, then you can go to the next small step. And if you'd like a guide for exactly what to do, of course, my Wake Up to Love program has a step-by-step guide for exactly what to do and when. Number 2, attitude of gratitude. So before you ever show up in front of a girl, you've already made a first impression, and that shows up in the way you walk, the way you talk, your body language, the way you show up in the world, what you wear. Everything about you is a hint or an indicator of what your attitude might be. Now, do high-value women like guys with a good attitude or a bad attitude? Okay, we're not talking about bad boys. We're talking about attitude of gratitude. No high-quality, high-value woman wants to be with a guy with a bad attitude or an attitude of scarcity or bitterness, because a bad attitude subconsciously tells her that you're not very good at handling life. Whether it's one thing today or, all of life, your attitude of gratitude shows her that you can handle and roll with the punches of whatever life is throwing at you, and that makes her feel safe with you. So, tiny habit example, start every day with something that you can be grateful for. If you are watching this video, you have something to be grateful for. There are people in this world who cannot even watch a video. So there's definitely something in your world that you can be thankful for. If you start your day with something positive that you can be thankful for, then it's going to color and influence the rest of your attitude throughout the day, including your interactions with women. Number 3, ditch Facebook and Instagram. Okay, well, maybe don't totally ditch it because I'm on there and you want to follow me. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, not in real life. That would be stalking, which would be creepy, so don't do that, please. But here's the thing. Facebook and Instagram are the worst culprits for creating depression and anxiety. Why? Facebook? Well, Facebook is just full of negativity, and we're on there either engaging in conflict or looking for things that can confirm our beliefs, but most of it's not very feel-good. And Instagram is worse in a different way. We see tons of images of people in their fake lives or their real lives, and we compare ourselves. You compare yourselves and you think, oh, why don't I have what that guy has? Or why can't I get that girl? Or she's so hot. It's all filters. Anyway, if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. Or as I like to say, knock it off already. So tiny habit example of what you can do to change this habit is to only engage in and only follow or watch pages and influencers that are motivational or educational. And the side tip on this one is that if you actually spend more of your time watching educational programs or documentaries, then you're going to have more stuff to talk about in conversations, which brings us to the next tip, is get better at having conversations. If you want to be a good conversationalist with women, you need to actually be good at conversations in general. So this also requires practice. So what you want to do is start having conversations, but not with the same safe people you always have conversations with. Start having conversations with people that you don't know, somewhere where it's a little bit out of your comfort zone. So a tiny habit you might incorporate in order to improve your conversational skills would be to make it your goal that every time you go to the coffee shop, you talk to the person behind you. And a really good way to open a conversation with the person behind you is just to say, hey, I'm not in a rush, but if you are, I don't mind trading spots. It's a really good one because you're doing something kind. You're not likely to get a really bad response. Now, they may not want to talk to you. They might not want to engage in conversation, but you might be able to engage in conversation. And at the very least, you've just talked to a stranger and probably gotten a little bit out of your comfort zone. So you can also even follow it up with something like, always good to pay it forward when you can, right? And, that's just a nice thing to say. Now, if that person does engage in conversation, well, then you just have a conversation with them. And another tip about conversations is it's one thing to be interesting, but engaging by being interested in them makes you more appealing to most people. So talk about whatever they're talking about. Whatever they want to talk about is something that's going to be of interest to them. And if you show interest in what's interesting to them, then they're going to think that you're a great conversationalist. Another quick tip on conversation is if you can add humor, because laughter, of course, makes everyone feel good. But if you're not very well practiced at humor yet, side note, get good at that. There's ways of doing that. But you can also use their name. So you don't want to overuse their name, but everybody's favorite word is their own name. So if you use their name once or twice in a conversation, that will also increase your value in their eyes, whether it's a stranger or the particular girl you're interested in. And the next tip is in giving generous and genuine compliments. So I've done a whole video on how to compliment a girl depending on if she's really hot or really not. So you might want to watch that. I will link it at the end or below. So the key point is if you start to make the habit of giving people compliments, then your brain is going to be well accustomed to giving compliments when it actually comes down to crunch time, when you want to give a compliment to the girl you're interested in. So you want to start complimenting everybody, as many people as you can. So this trains your brain to look for something, and it has to be sincere. So maybe it's something, you see a guy, hey, is that a new tie? Where'd you get it? I like it. Or if it's at the workplace, you can say, oh, hey, you did a really good job on that report, whether it's a girl or a guy or whatever. That's a great compliment. Compliments don't always have to be about the physical. They can be about the person's character. And if you make it about their character, then it actually shows that you're going beyond the superficial, which is also a good thing. If you like a girl at work, you might even dare to say, hey, is that a new outfit? It looks really good. Or that color looks really good on you. Or if you have a good interaction with that person, the girl, then you might even say it really brings out the sparkle in your eyes, or it really brings out the color in your eyes if you want to be a bit safer. Now, speaking of compliments, the next one is going to get you more compliments. So the next one is exercise. Exercise is a great habit to get into because it makes you feel good. It makes you healthy. It shows commitment. And it also actually helps balance out your hormones. So if you are a little low in testosterone, it might help build up that testosterone to give you a little bit more assertiveness and confidence. So exercise, what's the tiny habit you can create out of this? Well, tiny habit example is wherever you're at, if you're not at the level of fitness and health that you want to be at, add something small. So maybe you're just starting and you haven't done any exercise and you've got a few pounds to lose. Well, your tiny habit might be just getting up in the morning and doing 25 push-ups and then carrying on with your day. And then you can always add to that once it becomes easy. The next one is self-talk. So most of us actually respond better and perform better, do better when we are given positive encouragement versus negative criticism. When we're giving negative criticism, we tend to shut down and not even want to try. And yet, we do this to ourselves all the time. We talk to ourselves like we're the biggest bullies on the planet, to ourselves. So you got to stop doing that. Stop beating yourself up for not doing as much as, or being as good as, or whatever it is as you think you should be or that you want to be. Instead, start talking to yourself in an encouraging way. Now, I'm not saying you should talk to yourself out loud in public spaces. Someone might look at you, but if you're brave, do it anyway. But it's included in the thoughts that we think. So start having more positive thoughts toward yourself. For example, tiny habit example is if you are that guy who needs to get up in the morning and start doing push-ups, and let's say the first morning you get up and you forget, or you didn't allocate enough time, instead of calling yourself a loser to yourself and saying you're never going to get there, start telling yourself, hey, you know what? I'm starting a new habit. It took me all these years to get to where I am. It's going to take a little bit of time, effort, and consistency to get on board with this new habit. I'm going to try again tomorrow, and I'm going to commit tonight to setting my alarm for 5 minutes early and putting my exercise clothes out the night before so I see them when I wake up and I get right on it. Get right on it. So you can get right on it, her, one day. Yeah. And the other thing about self-talk is that whatever you're saying to yourself is showing up in your body language and your attitude in the world. So if you've got negative self-talk, then that probably means you've got lower self-esteem, and women can sense that. So if you've got positive self-talk, you've got positive self-esteem, and you're confident with who you are, then that's also going to show up, and that's going to be attractive to women. Now, that doesn't mean you think you're good enough to not have to develop yourself in the ways that would work for you or would benefit your life, but that means you don't put yourself down for where you're at. And again, my Wake Up to Love program goes through a step-by-step process to figure out what things you want to change about yourself that will benefit your life and help you get a girlfriend, the one you want, and which things you're just going to actually accept and embrace about yourself and really own it. And so if you're interested in that, again, link at the end. And self-esteem brings up your ability to do tiny habit number 8, filter, 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 filter. So the key with filtering is that when you're filtering, you're evaluating her to see if she's good enough. And when I say good enough, I mean right enough for you. So when you are in the mindset of being able to filter, then you come across very differently. You don't come across as needy, you come across as high value. And she sees that high value because you're determining whether or not she's going to meet your standards. You're not going into the interactions worried about if she likes you or trying to impress her. Your attitude is about cautious curiosity to find out if she's the right one for you. So, for example, in the real world, this might look like if you've met a girl and you're talking to her and she says she'd never date a guy who plays video games all day. Then you might say, oh, I don't know if I could date a girl who didn't play Minecraft or didn't like Minecraft. And it's kind of a joke, right? Because, well, I'm assuming it's a joke unless you're serious. But let's say it is a joke. That's not a serious one. Okay, so you've kind of thrown that out at her, showing her that she's not automatically in just because you think she's cute. But she has to actually have some traits that you're interested in as well. Now, that's a fun one and playful, but you also want to throw in some serious filtering. So from there, a conversation might go to you saying something like, I'll never give up game night with the boys for anyone, not even you. And she might say, not even me, flutter, flutter, flutter. And you, because this is a serious one that you're not going to give up, because it's a standard that you have, you'd say something like, not even for you, no matter how cute you think you are, or no matter how cute you are. But you don't seem like the kind of insecure girl that would really be concerned about that. Or am I wrong about you? So playful, but also serious, because that is a serious standard that you do have. She will respect that. And here's the thing. Even though you're filtering her, and that may make her want you just to see if she can get you, so what? That gives you an option. That gives you the choice to see if you actually do want her. Just because she wants you because she thinks she can't have you or she thinks there's a challenge there doesn't mean you have to have her. You're still filtering and deciding along the way if she meets your standards. It's just that if she does want you, then you have that choice. And to keep her interested long enough to build that bond with her, you're going to want to adhere to the Wingmam motto, which brings us to number 9. Always leave them wanting more. Now, here's the key. A lot of guys think always leave them wanting more means being aloof or uninterested or ignoring them or ghosting them or acting like a jerk. No, you want to give them enough to make them like what you're giving them, to make them want you more. But that means you actually have to give them enough. So you're interested in her while you're with her, you're keen when she contacts you, you just don't put your whole life on hold because she shows up. So you fit her into your life where she fits, but you welcome her into your life where she fits. And to build a really strong bond, you do have to develop and create emotional connection and intimacy. And this can only be done when you're actually sharing vulnerable parts of yourself. So this means stories that are something you've never shared with anyone else, vulnerabilities, your fears in life, maybe personal stories. But the key is, as I said, always leave them wanting more. Don't give it all up all at once. If you give it all up all at once, she's going to feel like your mother or your counselor. And as you know, if you've watched other videos, mother mode equals non-arousal mode. So you want to divvy up the vulnerabilities as she earns them. And how does she earn them? She earns them through decency and time. Decency means that when you share something vulnerable about yourself, that she respects that and is honoring of you and is tender. If she makes fun of you or tells you to get over it or is just rude about it, that's a major red flag, and you should definitely be conscious of that. So for example, at some point in the relationship, be able to share with her something like, you know, my mom had a really bad attitude towards men because of the divorce, and, you know, for a while that really affected me. Depending on how she reacts, you gauge her reaction. If she's tender and understanding, that's a point. If she's dismissive or rude, that's definitely a negative. But then you don't just unload every other story and every other challenge you've had in life. You don't start crying in the corner. I'm going to share more about positive vulnerability and negative vulnerability in another video when I do my next and final video on what makes a real man, because there's definitely a difference in vulnerability expressed to women. One makes them want you more, the other makes them want you less. But because women are attracted to alpha masculine men, when you've shared something vulnerable, you want to be able to balance it out by proving your masculinity again. And it's important to know how to do this the right way. Women want masculine men who make them feel safe. If you show too much vulnerability in the wrong way, then she's going to see that as weakness. But if you show vulnerability in the right way, then she's going to see that as brave and courageous. And if you're too hard and you don't show any vulnerability, she's actually going to see that as being closed off and incapable of connection and commitment, and ultimately insecurity. Surprise. But when you get the right balance of vulnerability and masculinity, you're going to lead her on a roller coaster of emotions, and you're going to make her feel safe because she'll see your strong side and your caring side. And of course, as you probably know, very few men are able to do this effectively. But if you can do it, then you are going to be incredibly sexy to any of the women that you want to be with. So definitely watch my video on how to balance alpha masculinity with vulnerability. And I'll see you in the next one.